Hey guys, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? It's your girl Ruth. Yeah, this subject, okay. A lot of other subjects in it because I'm noticing some things. How people quick to shun their children or people out of their life because they're not fulfilling the life that they expect for that person or that child. Um, you have to be open to how your child is going to think. If you decide to hide things, that's your business. But if your child did not, how you going to judge them or put them or shun them or make them feel ashamed for who they are and what they want to do in life? You have no idea of their life path or their past things, the contract they signed, you know. And I know a lot, it's like, I don't want to be in trouble. It's a hurt thing. It's wasting their life. But how do you know that they're wasting their life? They come to you. I like both sexes. I dress, some people have a problem with their sons dressing in pink. Some have a problem with their daughter dressing in blue or dressing like a guy, just like a girl. Matter of fact, in the Bible it says that, right? But we all know about this Bible right now. If you don't, you need to study it, okay? Because it's not what it says. It's not what you think, okay? I wish I'd have found that verse in the Bible, then I could have read that. But anyway, um, I think it's time to wake up. And unisex is here. Not forcing anybody. I'm saying if your child's coming to you and they're telling you this who they are, they like both sexes. That goes back to my Gemini theory. A Gemini, what I read about that on my other videos, and for as the morphodite of having both and was separated. Okay. Um, Not forcing anybody, like I say, I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Because you got some that try to force their children to do these things. They have society try to force them to do that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you have a child that's free and they telling you this is what I like, and you wondering why they bringing these people, different people to your house, or why they dressing this way. Does your love stop? What kind of love do you have? You know, is it all about you and fulfilling the life that you want them to have instead of the life that they want? Does that make them less of a person? You know, if they want both sex, you know what I'm saying? Long as making them open and honest and not being sneaky and in the closet with it like a lot of generations, and being open and honest with this, I think we'll have a better world. That's my opinion. Okay. I got a lot of scenarios that I was concerned also with this, but I've seen a lot of kids being shunned and thrown out the house because of their lifestyle, because of their they family find out or they tell the parents. How do you throw your child out if they like the same sex, or they like the same they like both sexes? How do you, what type of love do you have? I don't understand that type of love. That's being closed minded. Now, me being a Libra, people would say we the judge and the jury and the whole nine things. And for a long time, I can admit, as growing up being in the lifestyle of what I grew up around, I had a lot of judgmental things about it, mainly because it was hurting. Especially my mom, stuff like that, how my sister and them act, how my brother and them act, different things that would happen around. But she being a Gemini, she um, could have understood a lot, and then she did understand a lot by being a Gemini, and a lot that I couldn't understand that I thought was hurting and degrading and disrespectful to her. That's why sometimes I understand when she would tell me to be quiet and let her handle it, because she understood a lot, and I just seen the disrespect of her. Now she seen, well, she came from the hush hush generation. So she seen a lot of uh this in her kids, and she didn't shun them. She knew the dark side of them, you know. I didn't understand that. I wasn't looking at the dark and the light side. I was looking at how the disrespect from her, you know. When I was younger, of them sneaking out at night, putting pillows in their bed and pretending that they're asleep. Then I saw you. I have a stepdad. Their stepdad was a Taurus, my dad, so he was law and order like me, like the Libra, the Venus planet. So he going and look for them, and he ready to whoop them when they come back, and they were older kids when he got with my mom. She had 7. So how do you try to make them go back? That's like putting them in the order that you want them in for your lifestyle, you know. And he didn't realize that because that's who he was. So it was a lot of arguing, fussing going on. And it was a lot of strictness. It was a lot of cruel punishment, being done. And then they know his lifestyle outside of my mom's, catching him in the club, sneaking, doing different things. So that was a battle, you know. And so my mom in the middle trying to calm everything down. Nobody's listening. A lot of disrespect went on, because of people wanting to other people to not think that this way and want everything to be for appearance sake, and not going deep inside and understanding your child, understanding yourself, or being free to be who you want to be, and not worried about what anybody else is think of you, you know. So that was a mess. And yeah, so it's like they, speaking to me, and in my life as growing up, like I say, I tried to the straight and narrow, um because that was mostly things me, and I was too straight and narrow till a lot of people didn't want to be around me, because I was, this is how it's supposed to be done, structured, discipline, by having my Libra in that 10th house. You follow this, you that, you keep your fit, and missed out on a lot of things. I could see that, and I could see why a lot ran from me, even didn't want to be around. I was like, my niece and nephews, when they came, I know we're gonna say our prayers, we're gonna get on our knees, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And they cared about my Virgo sister because she was fun. We both would help them with their prayers, but she was always making them laugh and joke, and hanging out and going through crazy things and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, did y'all eat? Did y'all do this? Y'all, I'm structured and disciplined and blah, blah, blah. So they didn't like me for a long time. They loved me, but they didn't like me for a long time. But I didn't understand. So I had to learn, you know. So I was always the baby out of 10, and I would do more fussing than my mom, and the disrespect, it was disrespect. They didn't clean our house, they didn't cook. They always way older than me, and so I'm fussing, I'm this and that, and they didn't like me either, right? So they didn't like me either. So they was always trying to find ways to get me to get caught or blamed for something. They thought I was goody, but they didn't understand me, and I didn't understand them. Okay. And so that's the thing of understanding each other, understanding everybody's role in this life, because it's a role to play. And the sin thing should be taken out, because it's lessons and tests. Now that I'm really older, it shouldn't be a sin thing unless disrespect comes in to play, of not recognizing or not being, letting people be who they are, and showing love, and keeping that love there regardless, you know, of what's going on in a person's life. I would not, I couldn't see myself disowning a child of mine, or, judging them if they come and tell me something like this. I like both sexes. Okay, you know, we'll talk about it. If you want to talk about it and explain or something like that, you want to dress a certain way, okay, I think maybe a long time ago I probably would have, no, never would have shunned them out, period. But coming from a household that I came from and having too many secrets, I want all secrets on the table as much as possible. And I want to try to understand that. And then going inside of myself, what have I been hiding from me? You know what I'm saying? And what have I been restricting myself of? Having one mindset. So I've learned to open my mind up, you know, and have a different way of thinking of a lot of things in order to be free. How you gonna be free if you worried and you stressed out and you hiding things and you're not being yourself? You know what I'm saying? And who you truly are, you know? Um, I guess I mentioned this, it came up in my mind, not to saying this is correct in any type of way. I was looking at Morgan Freeman when visit this serial raper in prison, and he asked him why he did such a thing. And the man explained, he said, I don't have remorse like y'all. He said, I do things on an impulse. He said, I might not even be thinking about doing any of those things, sex or none of that. He said, when it comes up, I have no control mechanism. He say, I'm gonna do it exactly how what comes up in me, whether you say it's an evil came in him, an entity came in him, whatever it may be. He's gonna react. He's gonna do it. He's gonna take care of the situation. It's gonna be sloppy, but he's gonna do that, and then he's gonna go on to something else. And then he could not even think about it. He didn't think about the person he just heard. He didn't think about none of the person he killed. He didn't think about none of that. Then when that impulse comes again, he react. But he did say this. He said, Morgan Freeman asked him, he said, if I had enough to get you out of here and get in programs to change your life, would you want to? He told him no. He said, I don't think I should go back into society. He said, because of how I don't have any remorse. I would repeat the same thing over and over again. He said, I don't know where that came from, why I'm like this. He said, but I think it's safe for me to stay here because I would be a menace to society, you know? So I don't know how I got it. Like I said, many different situations that they have me talking about. Now, when I was in Job Corps, I met this couple. They came there together. He was gay, she was gay. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, loved each other deeply. And at Job Corps, you separate the dorms, the girl from the boys, unless you get to higher ranking that you get into like something like a military thing, and then you be able to share, co-ed. But he loved men, she loved women. They would date them, you know, and then they would be together. It was already that this my man, this my woman. Yeah, I like you. I'm gonna have sex. I'm gonna do whatever. I felt like say my desires came on. I'm gonna react on my desires, but I love person. And who are we to question that love? You know, they I can't remember if they finished their courses and they both left together. You know, so I'm just saying I think we have an open mind about life and what we were taught and the strict restrictions that we were put on us, you know, um, having an open mind to understand. And I was thinking about back to Morgan Freeman and that man. I remember listening to another man who was in prison. He said he used to go around clubs and he just liked to see people in pain. He would put acid in their drinks and he would watch them disintegrate. He had no remorse, no shame. He another one, I think they executed him. And he said he didn't know why he was like that, but he had no feelings, nothing, anything about it. You know, people want him to apologize. I don't know if he apologized before or now or not. Or the man that the first man I was talking about, Morgan Freeman, you know. So I can't remember what he said his childhood was like. I can't remember their childhood. I think one of them was saying he used to get beat a lot by his dad, beaten in the head. So I don't know if that would dig deeper into the situation or not. I don't know. But yeah, going back to whether it's the same sex or not wanting to continue the family business, or whether it's not wanting to be the wife or the husband that everybody thinks that that we've been taught, or whatever it may be in life. You know what I'm saying? Whether to decide to just go and just live life, whatever. Who are we to stop people from who they want to be? Um, I said, okay, that's friends. Let's go, for instance, that your child, son or daughter, wanted to dance at a strip club or work in that environment. And you being a Christian or you being whoever, and you would be scared for your child, and you would be thinking that you call them a whore, blah, blah, blah. And then some people shun their kids when they found out, like I said, my sister was sneaking out. Who knows what they were doing? My dad didn't give him any money. He was very tight, and he didn't give him any money in the allowance. And these were big kids. They didn't want to be ashamed, couldn't go to school, couldn't go to the store and buy nothing. I remember my two brothers, they snuck in the store across the street from us and went in and stole candy. And by it being a small neighborhood, and the store owner knowing my mom, and the police knowing my mom, and knowing who she was married to, and no things was no charges or anything like that was done. But the deal was, you don't give them an allowance, you don't make them feel like they're nothing. You make them feel like they're nothing. And then what you expect kids to do, what you expect them to go out in the world and do. And I remember how me and my sister, we had my dad, have the same dad, how we started stealing. We watched my sister and them when the truck would come up to the store, the soda water truck, the chip truck, or whatever, and they had the trays. And when they go in to bring the stuff, they would run outside and they would grab the trays and grab the soda water and they bring it back home. And I think my dad had left then. So mom tried to work. She didn't have enough money, was living in my grandma's house then. And I think my grandma passed. And, so we started watching them. Now, we didn't start, we would go around and, bottles, certain bottles you can sell for 25 cents or whatever, get us some candy. We would go to Canal, crawfish and stuff like that. We didn't start in our hometown, but when we came back to the city, we started doing that stuff. We started, at the time, my mom didn't have my stepdad, the new stepdad, who, Aquarius. My dad was a Taurus, she met an Aquarius, and he gave more. He understood that a child needed to have money. He would make sure that my sister and brother them had money, and he knew the dark and the light side of the world, the street and the upper class. So he knew, and he didn't shun them for their lifestyle or who they were. He loved them. And what I love about him is he made sure nobody was going to F with him. You know what I'm saying? He made sure he would give us allowance. He would give us change. But me and my sister started seeing things, and we started going to, well, that was before he really got into our life then. And we started going to stores, putting the clothes on under our clothes, walking out. Then we met a white girlfriend. We were going to wine gardens at that time. We would fill a cart up with food, snacks, or whatever, and she'd roll out the door, and we gone on, laugh on down the street, did all kind of little things. But then we stopped and we got us a job and we stopped doing those things. We realized that was what we saw. And then, like I said, my stepdad, he participated on their light and their dark side, And so my mom, she understood, but she didn't understand, and she would get mad at him, but she also was grateful for him at the same time, And yeah, so I was just thinking that if they would come to me, like I have been presented with that with kids, my kids. Um, only thing I would be concerned about if you decide to go and do dance or whatever, be that type of lifestyle, I would want to make sure if I'm coming around with pistols and whatever, or I would hire a bouncer to make sure you're okay, to make sure nobody don't take it out of hand. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would do. You know, um, like some people who parents who their child go to Hollywood or whatever, and they become their child's agent or whatever. They be inside the scene to make sure everything, the ones that's honest, make sure that their child is going to be treated right. The ones that's honest. You know, I always told her stuff like that. Um, if you decide to do that, I'm not shunning you. I'm not putting you down or anything like that. I just want to make sure that you're okay. So I'm gonna make sure either I hire somebody to be with you, or I'm gonna make sure I pick you up. I make sure to let them know you loved. They're not just gonna treat you any type of way. We're gonna sign contracts. We're gonna do this a business way because it's a business. You know what I'm saying? I know it might sound crazy to y'all, but that's how my mind thinks now. I've learned a lot. Um, uh, yeah, yeah. First, teach you the street life. You have to know the street life. That's what I love about Cardi B. She know the street life before she went to the upper. So now she knows this sophisticated street life where she at. See, that's what people don't understand. You think because you get into a better neighborhood or whatever, there's a whole lot of shit going on in every level you go at. It's just sophisticated street life. I didn't live in every neighborhood. I haven't been to 1%. Don't get me wrong. No, some, but I know the secrets also. You know, the whorehouses in it sophisticated. The working everyday mom, the working everyday dad, and still do the crooked things and living luxurious. You know, who am I to judge? I'm just observant. You know what I'm saying? Um, Let me see. I'm trying to read what I put. We want to believe that child should be, yeah. My child should be spiritual. They should be religious. They should have discipline. We were talking about that earlier. Not everybody is supposed to be that way. You know, um, got to accept their life path, the cycles in life for what they are. Um, you know, but just don't leave them alone. How can you? I don't understand people that shun their child out. Um, I always wanted to make sure they were free thinkers. It was their ideas, not other. Well, first of all, I have to ask them: is this something that somebody told you to do, or is it something that you want to do? Because that's another thing too. If your child got a nice face, nice body, something like that, then people suggest it. You know, I would do this and get the money, stuff like that. But is it their idea or is somebody else's? Because they could be born thinking that way, but then you can have people planning things and then it don't turn out right because it wasn't their idea. Uh, oh, my girlfriend had a Spanish girl, very beautiful. That was her thinking. She knew her mom. She had a brother that was handicapped. They moved from Mexico here, and um, she knew her mom needed help. I think her mom was a little mental and whatever. They was on the green card. Her mom had them here. Well, she had her here, and yeah, she had the kids here, whatever. So she knew her mom needed help. So she started going and dancing at the club and stuff, and then she met big time guys and men who took care of very well. She had a very good lifestyle. She made sure her mom and all that had very good lifestyle. They had a hard time getting assistance for their brother, so she knew she had to go out there and she had to get it to make sure she maintained it, you know, and she did that very well. You know what I'm saying? And she took care of mom, and she eventually bought them. She got out the lifestyle. She eventually found someone, and she built them a home and everything. But her mom they started coming for her mom, green card. She had to get put back to Mexico. Her brother, it's now hard on her to maintain what she got going on and relationship, and mom is gone. They done shunned her back to Mexico. Matter of fact, I need to ask did mom ever come back? Trying to fight for that and trying to help her brother. Don't want to put him off into no place, you know, and she love her brother. And it's a lot of pressure that she's going under. So I don't know if she had to go back to the lifestyle. I don't know how much the guy's helping her. I don't know. I haven't talked to her in a while. But people do things. You know what I'm saying? Who's you? Who are you to judge? You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, getting out of old religion and living in the real life. Uh, it's like you find out your church owns a strip club in my hometown. Um, it's a big church I went to, Church of God and Christ. I can't remember the name of that church, but anyway, the preacher, I could look at that man and tell he was the devil. Matter of fact, the last time I seen him, he was growing horns. He's deceased now. And him and his wife, they had a big, nice home in the neighborhood. Never finished the building, the gate. Never finished. She was always, my dad used to hang with him back in the day. Always on the go. His mom, his wife was really mean. She thought she was uppity, better than everybody. He decided he wants to buy the club in the neighborhood. He decides he wants to buy different things in the neighborhood that a church should not buy. But I knew it was crooked. My mom knew it was crooked. A lot of people knew it was crooked. So they voted that out, right? But who do you know what your church owns? You know what I'm saying? I remember passing by that church at night, and underneath the church, I heard something that was not church. Okay. So who knows if there was a gambling casino going under that church, prostituting ring, you know what I'm saying? Selling boys and girls, getting them. That's how they getting out of neighborhood kids missing, you know, how they getting in, how they getting out. I mean, come on. It's doing something. Bringing the drugs in, bringing the drugs out. Y'all know how I feel about churches in the neighborhood. If y'all listen to my videos, y'all already know the stuff that I have seen. Selling whatever in the church house. The preacher being the big pimp. Matter of fact, the last church I went to, he was a retired pimp. I don't know why he went out, baby. Why he thought they was targeted at me. Now I had, was it's like the forces was, yeah, it's time to go to church, bring your kids to church, get them baptized. So I decided. So I went there, we was going faithfully and this and that, and stuff like that. You know, and I didn't notice that he was watching me more, and I liked his wife, blah blah blah. It was cool. But I started. My daughter started noticing. Then I started noticing that when he did a sermon, he was making sure that eyes were locked on me. He was always talking to me, and then everybody else started noticing. It's like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's like, hold up, hold up. So then I started noticing certain things. Then the wife started noticing certain things. It was like, oh shit, here we go. So I started going less, stuff like that. Then he started trying to come look for me and, stuff like that. It's like, I start feeling them vibes and I start seeing the crookedness and I start remembering, I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, okay. Because if you think you coming this away with some bullshit, it's not going to happen. So I have to leave that alone, right? But just check everything out. Okay. Not saying every church probably got some good ones. I'm not saying it ain't, but life is life. Real life is real life. You can't just be one way in this life. You have to think all different ways to survive, unless you're going to be stuck. Okay, let's see. It says, watch your neighborhood when you're not looking. Okay. Yeah, the names we label people: nasty, whore, slut, mental illness. People call their children this little bitch. They did. All that stuff goes in. Does it come out? You know, and then you have to look at the bloodline. Okay, Because my sister and them bloodline was Confederate. Okay. So what did the Confederate do? They wanted to keep the slaves, the ones that was sodomizing, just horrible things done to the slaves and other people, whites, whatever, whoever it was, to keep things the way they was. That was their bloodline. So you're gonna think you're gonna take that bloodline out? You have to be in consideration of their bloodline, the daddy's side as well as the mom's side, and then both sides have issues and put together could become a whole different thing. So of course, when they did their thing on the streets and stuff, they had no remorse. They didn't give a fuck. It was fascinating to them. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get hooked on a damn thing. They was smoking crack. They was smoking whatever they wanted to smoke and did whatever they wanted to do. And the sexual pleasures, they did it for the thrill of it. That's how strong their minds were. I mean, it didn't. It's it is what it is. Yeah, your child could understand life more than you. So it's good to pay attention to your child at any age, having that conversation. Um, yeah, so my mom didn't know exactly how. She participated in the club life with them, you know, and me crying, why you got to go to club, blah, blah, blah. I didn't understand, I was this and that, and I was putting pressure on her, but I didn't know, I was the baby, you know. Um, yeah. Let me see, I got my sister and brothers were like this. They were unorganized because of my mother's upbringing. So words were said that hit hard and stayed until some debts and still today. So the things that she said to them by not understanding fully, she had a horrible upbringing as well, but not thinking about that upbringing. She's still trying to save face or trying to think she's saving their face, but they knew the dark side and the light side of the whole neighborhood of the whole situation. So they wasn't gonna sweep shit under the rug like her generation did. And she didn't understand that. So words were put out, horrible words were said that's still rooted, you know. And when I came along, I didn't understand that the disrespect was going on because, you know, um, I didn't understand. So I was like, of course, on my mom's side. Yeah. So like I say, bloodline. And I had to tell her when I started understanding, Mama, you forgetting that the daddy side. How were they daddy towards you? What was their daddy lifestyle? You know, just like my dad, the structure and discipline. Me and my sister were totally different. I got some of his ways of trying to thinking it was straight and narrow. But my sister, she was a trick. She Virgo. She was a trickster. You know, she did what she did. She'll throw you under the bus if she had to for her ways. She had my mom looking at me for sexual in bed and all that, and I wasn't even thinking about none of that stuff. But she was studied behind my mom's back, figuring her way out to be with somebody she cared about and going to bed. But she was throwing it back at me and had my mama focus on me, calling me words that shocked shit out of me. But she found out later that it was my sister. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, even I knew this way, but by living life open minded, and I get it now. Yeah. Um, yeah, I worked at clubs. Well, I wanted to work at clubs and dance as well. They used to come to my mind a lot. But I knew I wasn't that street smart enough to do that. And I didn't have a backing. That's one thing I did know. I didn't have a backing. And I wasn't finna go into that life without a full team. You know what I'm saying? And I knew I didn't have the body at the time to do that. That's why I didn't pursue that, which I do see small women doing that. I mean, I could have, but the backing and the protection have always been my thing. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, I used to work at clubs. Now I started working clubs when I had my first daughter. But dad didn't help. Trying to maintain my house, make sure I get food on the table. And the first one I worked at was for this couple. Like again, she was gay, he was gay, but they got married in order to get whatever benefits they had to get to make things stronger. They were both, prostituting rings and pimps or whatever back in the day, but everything got busted or whatever. So now they want to do like a new leaf and still starting up a new club. So here I come, fish, right? So here I come. So they figure I got the looks. So that's gonna bring in people. And I know the people in the neighborhood and the guys and the men or whatever, they knew was gonna come in. So, I'm not even thinking this. I'm just worried about putting food on my table. So my sister started, one of my sisters that was on the street that knew the streets. So when I started working for her, she didn't like that I would refuse the drinks that the guys wanted to buy me because I didn't drink like that. And I knew it would make me tipsy. So my sister started telling me, okay, this is how you do it. You sip on it. You don't turn it down because it look good for the club. It brings her money in. You sip on it. You put it to the side. You go do your work. Somebody else offer you drink. You sip on it. Put it to the side. But I know sipping was gonna get me drunk eventually, right? So I didn't want to do that. So that became a problem at the club. Then she decided, well, you're not doing that. So she didn't want to pay me the money that she said she was going to give to me. So I worked a couple of more times to get us at least a little bit more till I got to another level. And then eventually moved on from that. But I was bringing in the customers. So she was getting the benefits for this, but still trying to pimp me, I thought, because her agenda was to get you where down enough where you needed her, or she can get you hooked on something where she can take control and then go to the next level of running the whorehouse, which you already had going on. But my little stupid self didn't look at all of that because, like I said, I was worried about taking care of my baby and my bills. So that was her agenda. And by me view started opening my eyes to see by listening to her talk to me, thinking she gonna talk to me in a kind of way. And I had to catch him. I said, hold up, who are you talking to? You know, you ain't finna talk to me in the kind of way. I ain't gotta work here. No, sister, I'll be a pimp. I'll pimp myself. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna pimp me. I was back in the day when the pimps and the prostitutes was at. I know how the shit go. So if you think that's what you was gonna try to do to me when I really snap, you know what I'm saying? It's like, sister, I got to go. But anyway, what you want to make it? It's not because of me. Was bring it in. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. Uh. Yeah. Oh shoot. You know, I was asking to Okay. Yeah. Um. So back to the child. If if they're that way, they nothing wrong with them. They not broke. Okay, this is who they are. Don't try to make them be who they're not. That's going back to sodomizing their penis, like they did with the Morphidites, in order to make them a woman, and they both are closing up the vagina and keeping the penis. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, that's gonna mess with their minds. Um, if it didn't have some homework. Yeah. So teaching your child always everything and a protection, how to protect themselves, stuff like that. No matter what, I don't judge. Yeah, don't judge your children. That's, yeah, you don't own your kids, okay? You're only supposed to teach them the way, make sure they're okay, and keep it moving. What happened to true love? Love is not convenient only for you at your rules, I'm gonna love him no matter what. I was thinking about another scenario. Bill Cosby, when he had the Lisa Bonet, no, his daughter before Lisa Bonet, when he had his daughter, and one of his daughters opened up a club, and he didn't like that because of the lifestyle he was living. He was living one for the public, so him and her got into it, and he shunned her, and they didn't talk for a long time. They made up afterwards, but he judged her from opening up that club, but he forgot about his lifestyle and the hidden things and things that were in her that she had to get out of herself. And then he did to Lisa Bonet. um, she decided to make movies that were more sexual, and he had her playing the role of an innocent child, college child. He didn't understand that was a role she was playing, but that she wanted to up her career to doing something else. So he got her blackballed out of the industry, you know. So sometimes karma is a bitch. And then also I was thinking about Will Smith. I don't know what went on with the first mama on the show, Fresh Prince, and him and her got into it. I don't know whole full details, but he got her blackballed out of Hollywood as well. And then, like I say, karma's a bitch, you know. So what I'm saying is just judging, living a lifestyle, and trying to make others live their lifestyle that ain't for them, you know. Um, yeah, so that's what I would do if my child wanted to go to a club or something like that. I would make sure if I couldn't go and do that, I would hire somebody to watch them and make sure they're okay, somebody reputable, and I would let that person know I'm gonna pop your ass if you don't make sure my child's okay. Fuck, point blank. Period. I'm gonna pay you good. If you got the money to pay, then pay. You know. Uh, I'm just saying. Just different little scenarios. Uh, oh yeah. There was this guy. Another scenario of judging your kid. There was this guy back in the day. He was living on the street. I don't know what happened in his life. Some people say he had everything. He was living a lifestyle that his family wanted him to live, but he didn't want to live that lifestyle. He got hooked on drugs. So, but people talk about, not everybody, there's two sides to everything. Some people on drugs or whatever, but he was the nicest guy. He would feed people, he would take care of people. And my best friend, that's a Virgo, hello, that he passed away. Oh my goodness, he did the same thing. He showed me so much how to sell antiques, how to live street life, how to survive. You don't have a job. Oh my goodness, he showed me so many things. But back to this guy first. So his mom understood that she would find him, make sure he had a place to stay, pay his rent up. She would make sure before if he lost the place or whatever, she would take him, bathe him, get him a haircut, get his some no outfits, feed him, make sure he got enough food, gave him grocery, whatever, to find another house, put him in, the whole 9 yards, love him, hug him, whatever, and gone on about her business. He invited people that were straight, that were hooked on drugs like himself, make sure they was okay, make sure they were fed, gave them some of the clothes. He didn't care about that stuff, you know, and you wouldn't have never known he was hooked on some deep drugs because he was just so friendly. He was just so giving. My one of my sisters was like that. She's a Pisces. I think this guy was a Virgo. She was like my best friend. She was a Pisces, and she didn't care about. She had materialist was no issue for her, but she didn't care about that. She could cook her ass off, still can. People try to get her to open a club, try to do everything. She didn't want that. She didn't want to charge people for giving them food. She would call people, I made stuff. She liked to brag and tell her how good her food was. But she would invite and she would feed pimps, prostitutes, drug addicts. It didn't matter, you know, and they flocked to her. Their lifestyle was shaky, true enough, but she didn't care about that. She knew materialistic wasn't no problem to get. She loved the fantasy of it. She loved the more than my other sister that was a Libra Scorpio. She was more of the rebel, the mafia part. But she just the thrill of it, the I learned a lot from each one of them when I opened my mind up and started seeing life. They helped me a lot with street life, learn how to survive, especially my cancer sister. She definitely taught me how to survive. She didn't do none of that. She had her own way of doing things. But, she taught me a lot as well how to survive. And my older sister, Sagittarius, she taught me the beauty of it and how to get it. She had her gangster ways as well, but she kept it sophisticated. She kept it under wraps, whatever. But anyway, each one of them brought something to the table. But this what this guy was doing. His mom never gave up. You know, I don't know what happened eventually. Life happened. I didn't pay any attention. But my Virgo best friend, he taught me how to do so many things. He had a disappointment. He was married to Debbie Allen and the wife of Bill Cosby show's niece. And she had 2 kids for him, and he was doing immaculate. Him and her went to U of H college. They were doing great. They paid for their kids to be born. They was on their way to stardom. And somebody say they introduced him to drugs. And somebody set him up and said he was selling and was not selling. Jesse came into play. And then after that, he lost his scholarship. He started driving 18-wheelers. He was still making good money. But the family, felt like that wasn't good enough. So they started whispering in her ear and broke them up. And they divorced or whatever. And she took her kids, and she would barely bring her kids around. As the family started going up, and they was from the same neighborhood. They were from the same neighborhood he was before they got up. Living on the other side, of course. But anyway, so he hadn't seen his kids for a while, and they finally, years later, brought the kids to see him. And then the last time the kids seen him when he got killed, and they were very upset because that church house was so full. People were all outside, for my best friend when he passed away. And the kids didn't understand because they were taught that he was a bum, and he lived on the street and he was a nothing. And they're looking like, they're grown now, and they're looking like, well, damn, if he was all that, why is this church house full of people that's talking great things about him? What the hell did we miss? You know what I'm saying? We living in this lifestyle over here when he totally was even living in reality. It's something that we totally missed. We missed all this life with our dad because we were taught that he was low, and evidently that he was not. So that's a whole nother story too. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I gotta go pick up my grandkids. Let me get them. Lord, move them out there. Okay. Oh yeah, another lady I used to be around when we were younger. She used to shoot up, and when she used to shoot up, baby, she would clean her house up. She be talking to us while she doing it. We watching her cook it all up and everything, And she would cook and what y'all want, and we laugh and talk, and we talking about our boyfriends with her, and and blah blah blah, and you know what I'm saying, and what y'all gonna eat, blah blah blah. And let me tell y'all how to, the boys and what to do, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? It's like it makes you wonder about a lot. They're not saying I'm trying to get them hooked on no drugs. Don't get me like that, because it's another side to that too. Because I know some that will do some horrible things when they get on drugs. They get the raping. We ran for them too. We didn't have to hide from them too. Okay. I think it's all about the heart. It's all about the heart, number one. But yeah, they had some that was hooked in there, and then some of them didn't have to be hooked, and they'll be coming after you. You know what I'm saying? I done live by the link out man. I done live by, chop up women. I done live by some shit. Seen some shit. So don't let me say that drugs had a whole lot to do with it, and drugs had a whole lot to do with it. I done been by drunks. Just nice as that drunks. Give you whatever. I said my stepdad was a drunk. He gave you drinking. He wasn't nice. When he was drinking, he give you everything. You know, teaching you the street life at the same time. You know. So yeah, it's just so much judgmental things going on. Oh, I'm saying about this white guy in the neighborhood. I hated this. He was married, living in this white neighborhood, and his wife. He was working hard. They had a son, and he loved the hell out of this woman. And she messed over him. He came home and caught her in the bed with his best friend. He just left. So he knew some people on our side of the street. So he started staying and getting hooked on drugs and this and that. And eventually his money got on Social Security. And eventually his money went straight to the dope man every day. And of course, they used the shit out of him, but he did it to himself. And I would talk to him about his life, and this and that. And I would be like, well, you seen your son, or would you forgive her, blah, blah, blah. And he was confused about the whole thing. He really would like to see his son, but he was embarrassed of his lifestyle. I said, I don't think his son would be, whatever. But I noticed they said about a year or so before he passed, his son came and found him, and him and his son was together, and I was seeing him ride on bikes together and stuff like that. But eventually, son left or whatever, and they found him dead in an apartment. But the thing was, nobody came check on him. None of his family came check on him to make sure he was okay. Where does the love stop? Where you have, because that person living in a different neighborhood that you may not have a lifestyle, living a lifestyle you don't like, your love stops, and you don't go check on this person and make sure they're okay, make sure everybody ain't fuck. Yeah, they might have caused a lot of shit, because after time he would get into it and get beat down, but he would stand strong, beating it down and still talk shit. My sister was like that. But the point, why does the love stop? I know you don't want to get in trouble going around. It might be something you might fuck up somebody. I understand all that, but I don't know. I would still check on them. I would still check on them to make sure they're okay. Because I don't think love's supposed to stop, But yeah. So that's what I have, y'all. Something that they wanted me to talk about, and I did. And hope this helps or whatever, some information. But love will keep us together. All right, y'all. This is your girl Ruth signing off. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. I really appreciate it. And talk to y'all later on.